Hey guys, welcome to this exclusive Baking Hot Evening upload here on Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night. I'm literally melting and doing this. I'm not firing up my PC to do videos yet. Not a chance. Sorry guys, because I know it says it takes time to do my setup, but it's baking hot. I know what it was like last time I did videos when it was baking hot onto my PC and it made it lag and everything and made my room even more stifling than it is in the last house. And now I'm in this new house for over a year. I'm already feeling the heat with nothing on. I mean, like electric wise. So you can imagine how I feel going forward towards doing content. So enough of all that hoo ha, even though I'm sweating, that's why I look like a bag of crap. I briefly mentioned this on my previous upload plus as well. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. On my previous upload, when I was talking about Dynamite from last night, and I gave it some serious thought about this. About the end. Is this the last? What we're getting this coming Sunday for AEW, the last Forbidden Door? I don't think it is, because I feel like Tony Khan should take it up a notch. What I mean by that is, if you don't have the representatives from New Japan Pro Wrestling or CMLL or Stardom or Ring of Honor, even though that's under the AEW umbrella, you sort of do technically have a Ring of Honor representation in the likes of, I forget her first name, I do apologize, my brain just went blank. She's facing Mercedes Moné at the ONR tournament final. Now, that's great. But Tony Khan, from next year, don't. All I can say is this, right? I'll be honest with you. From a man to a businessman, right? Open your Forbidden Door wider. Even if you don't get the representation from those companies that I mentioned, build it up a notch, right? You've opened your door to other promotions on your product, my AEW. Why don't you open that door to those companies that you are signing up to promote on there? What I mean is, build it up. Have representations from those companies or the working relationships you've got here in the United Kingdom, such as Pro Wrestling Eve. If you may or may not know, Will Ospreay works behind closed doors with Dan Reed running an amazing female company here in the United Kingdom. I want to point this out. Pro Wrestling Eve gets it right, then I'm not shooting against any other promotion here in the United Kingdom, but they get the women's wrestling perfect. Even though it's an all wrestling company, they just get it perfect. And I'm grateful to go to shows when I do get a chance to go. I'm looking forward to go to Eve Takes Over the World 2 this coming August. I know it's a downfall for it being in London, but they get it right. Because end of the day, I want to say this, that yes, wrestling has been a male dominated sports entertainment for many years, no matter whatever company you watch. But you do get thriving women that want to make it their own, right? And I feel like Pro Wrestling Eve get it so right. The way the character building, the storytelling they get in the ring, they just make their character they built up for many years. They just get it right so well, and they've literally got the dynamic right. And I'm looking forward to seeing what matches they've actually got for Eve Takes on the World 2. I am really looking forward to going, even though I'm fucking standing. They sold tickets that fast because there's nothing clashing with it. But it just proves how much of an impact Pro Wrestling Eve has actually made in the wrestling scene here in the United Kingdom, let alone just in London. And that's saying something. They just get it right because they aim for the right market this day and age. I feel like, yeah, wrestling can be a family orientated, but Pro Wrestling Eve does something completely different. Obviously, they go for the adult market, and they're tackling that perfectly. You know, it unlocks the inner child in you, even though I'm 44 now. My birthday was 2 days ago, and what Pro Wrestling Eve gives to me as a wrestling fan makes me proud to see the women that I watched when they first started to where they're going and keep on going. And they've had fantastic matches over the years at Pro Wrestling Eve. You know, I can remember going to 2012 to Pro Wrestling Eve for the first time here in the United Kingdom. I was captivated by it. I was hoping they were coming back, even though that show didn't sell well to me as a wrestling fan. But when I went to seeing how much Dan Reed and Will Ospreay's actually put their heart on and their money on the line to make this a success of whatever they do, you know, they've had great champions, great tag teams. You know, yeah, these women have worked all over the United Kingdom, but they just get it damn right. You know, it gives a different entity towards the character they've built up and people known for. You know, and that's what I like about what Pro Wrestling Eve gives. You know, end of the day, a lot of the matches do get overshadowed by the male matches on other wrestling companies, which is kind of sucks because I feel hard for the women. Well, that's sort of hard. Get that out of your mind. So I feel like when you look at Forbidden Door, with the concept of Forbidden Door, why don't you just open the doors to some representations towards Pro Wrestling Eve? You know, have them attack the females on Dynamite or something like that. The way you've been doing, don't get me wrong, to build up Forbidden Door has been great. Although I'm not a fan of MJF versus Mark Briscoe, that group steel cage match, like I mentioned in my previous upload. And that's saying something because he's the champion. I feel like you're wasting champions in that match going forward. And I'm literally thinking you're wasting opportunities there. Yeah, don't get me wrong, the card's stacked, but you're wasting championship opportunities where people could be defending their titles. And it annoys me when I see the likes of the women's tag team titles being defended on the buy-in, even though the buy-in is part of the pay-per-view. You know, to give them a taster to get people in. But I want that on the main card because you make a big song and deal about women's tag team division and titles. You've made a big deal of it, and then you lose track of faith. You know, I'm looking forward to the 5-women match next week on Dynamite. Whoever's the final 2 participants in that for the TBS Championship. That's going to be an interesting match. Fight for the fittest or something, whatever it's called. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, like I'm saying to you guys, that what I'm getting at is Forbidden Door shouldn't really finish because of you don't actually have the representations from those companies that you originally set out to have representations. You know, you've opened like I've said, you've opened the door on my AEW. Bring some of that talent in, you know, facing your own talent, you know, to make their stand. And then people will be interested in to watch the other brands that you're actually getting on your my AEW. Anything's possible with Forbidden Door. It's not like I'm saying this in a bad light. I'm just shooting from the breeze. I'm just saying this could revive the concept of what you set out to do with Forbidden Door. To open the door to other companies coming in. Like, you've done that, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the only people that have actually built this up, believe it or not, is the Owen tournament. That's got me intrigued. You got the likes of Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. I'm intrigued about that. The only thing what I'm not fussed about, like I've mentioned, is that cage match. Because that cage match doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not intrigued about MJF's title run being the third championship run. What was the point of taking it off Darby Allin if you're going to just do this? But like I'm saying to you guys that is watching this, I just feel like the Forbidden Door concept should be a lot more to it than just what you expect every single year. Because everyone just keeps on making the assumption that you're going to get Stardom, you're going to get New Japan Pro Wrestling, you're going to get CMLL. Why don't you do something different? Build those characters, build those promotions, build those break shit ass whatever you actually want to do with it. Because there's other wrestlers out there. If New Japan Pro Wrestling ain't that bothered about this concept, as people making out or hearing rumours, we say rumours, then look elsewhere to do this. I could understand when it was in London last year in August because of the G1 Classic clashing. But there's no excuse this year. Right? Don't get me wrong. I'm saying this as an AEW fanboy, as people dubbing me as. But I want to be honest with you. As you are people that subscribe to me, there should be more to meets the eye than Forbidden Door. Is this the end of Forbidden Door? No. But if it is, what could replace it? Are we going to be looking at something like Blood and Guts maybe as a pay-per-view concept? Which I've been crying out for years, but they keep giving it as on free-to-air TV. But don't get me wrong, or obviously paid subscription on my AEW that I watch it on. I don't mind that as a pay-per-view, to be honest. I've been saying this for years. But is it too early in the year to do it? Because or they're going to take that risk and do an all-women's pay-per-view, to replace it. Because they've got so many great women on that roster. From the likes of Ring of Honor, from the likes of AEW's product. But I just think Forbidden Door is not dead in the water. That's just my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts, please do. On this hot, swatty, goddamn afternoon. Going into evening here in the United Kingdom. Thanks for listening, guys.